What's up, guys? It's Rey-Jay back with another video, and in this one, I want to break down what's happening with the overall market. Please note that I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice, and don't forget to smash the like button. Anyways, when it comes to the FOMC minutes, we got some interesting confirmation, at least from the Fed. The minutes are pointing towards a rate cut coming in September, which is what the market was expecting. Not bad whatsoever, and the market's fully pricing this in so far. So remember, a rate cut is technically priced in right now. There's a 61.5% chance we get a 25 basis point cut, a 38.5% chance we get a 50 basis point cut. And that is why the market saw some interesting volatility. The majority of Fed officials, the majority of the Fed want us to do a cut right now. That's becoming most likely. Yes, Jerome Powell is constantly saying that they have to look at data and such. But for now, that's looking like the most likely possibility, especially as inflationary data has been decent. So the question is, what's happening to the markets? I want to now talk about this just very quickly. So I want to mention to everyone that right now the market's in a very, very critical place. And I want everyone to be kind of careful with the way things are moving right now. The market's been trying to push higher, but in the process of pushing higher, we're forming a much larger bearish divergence. And then on top of that, when you look at this resistance on SPY, if I go to, for instance, our 4-hour time frame, kind of hide some of these indicators, you guys could see that there's a bearish divergence on both the RSI and our MACD. And then on the 4-hour, I'm going to close this real quick, by the way, just so you guys have like a better view. I just want to mention that with the way things are looking, we're turning on the 4-hour PPO, and we're really struggling at this resistance. The resistance is very, very tough up here. The resistance is very tough around that 560, 562 area. So if we get a rejection, which is what's starting to form right here, we're really struggling to hold above that 560 area. And with the bearish divergence, that oftentimes signals us to start coming back down to some of these like breakout areas, so like 556 or so. So I'm starting to favor that this might, be forming a topping process. We'll see if there's one more attempt to get up to 562 or not. But whether we do attempt to do so or not, I still think we might be dipping. And I think that there's going to be a move back down to at least the mid 550s. I think we're starting to turn. I think that the market is once again really struggling to hold up. So tomorrow, we'll see if we get one more pump tomorrow. But I'm starting to favor that whether we get a pump or not, there's going to be a move to the downside coming. So I want to give you guys a heads up about my personal opinion. And I think we could be forming like a cup and handle on SPY. That's always a possibility. This could be like a cup, and we could be forming our handle. I also want to mention that on the daily time frame, we're looking like we could be forming a doji. We'll see if we close to do so, but oftentimes that could be signaling another reversal candlestick, and that could lead to some downside as well. So we'll see. Tomorrow we might get a little bit of a push, then a drop, or we could just drop from here if the top is now in. That depends on some data. Tomorrow, 15 minutes after the market opens, we have the PMI report. And either way, guys, I don't think that there's a whole lot of upside left for the markets for the time being. I think that the top is going to be between 562 if it's not in already, and then 564. I think the market's going to top there. And I think that once we hit that level, if the top is not in already, there's going to be a reversal coming. The market's going to start tipping to the mid 550s or lower. And then if the top already is in, then we'll be very, very careful with where we currently are. So we'll just have to wait and see. I'm starting to hold this view based off how we're kind of like reacting to resistance, also the big bearish divergence that's developing and declining volume. So I think that there's a very good chance that, excuse me, SPY either has a top at 562, or we could get one more pump tomorrow. We could pump again and get very close to the all-time high, but somewhere between the all-time high and 562, we're going to be topping if the top is not in yet, and there's going to be a move to the downside. So I'll be watching this so far. We're just kind of shuffling in this 560 area. Watch 558 and 556 as supports, but just know what my view is, that there might be a top forming. I'm starting to see signals that suggest that. Nvidia pushed very nicely to this 130 area. We'll see if we break this. If we don't break this, there could be a move back down coming. We could be seeing a little dip back down towards the 125 area or even below that if we can't break past 130. So be careful. We're at some tough resistance. For Bitcoin, we're trying to rebound, but notice one concern about Bitcoin is the fact that we're making lower highs. And now we're testing resistance at 61,400 at the 50 EMA. So we'll see what kind of reaction we get. We're just kind of looking at resistance right now. So we will see. as far as Bitcoin goes, we're doing a good job at trying to hold this resistance, but I'm not sure if we're going to hold above our 200 EMA or not. So be careful with that. Looking at others out there like Tesla. Tesla's doing a pretty good job, but one concern that I mentioned was the fact that there was a possible, let me just pull this up, head and shoulders like structure that was developing on Tesla. And on top of that, if you look at Tesla, we're making lower highs. So we had this high up here. We came down, made a lower high. We need to break 225 to turn back up. If we don't do so, Tesla could dip a little bit. So we'll see. If we break 225, we're bullish. If we reject, watch 220 support. If that does not hold, we might dip a little bit. But remember about Tesla. Even if we do dip a little bit on Tesla, even if we do start dipping, don't worry because we could just be forming a giant cup and handle, right? We could be just retesting some support down here before we try to bounce and push higher. So I wouldn't necessarily turn too bearish. I wouldn't be too scared. I would just be very patient. For the QQQ, we also have a big bearish divergence forming. And this resistance is kind of tough up here around this 480 to 485 area. The last time we hit 485, we did see a rejection on the QQQ. We haven't cracked that yet. If we crack that, we could be getting very close to 490. If not, there could be a rejection. So just be very mindful of that. And I'm going to be looking at that 466 support as well. So we'll see how well we hold up. The 480 support and then 476 below that. Sorry about that, guys. So we're just shuffling for now. We're stuck around this 480 area. If we lose 480, look for a dip. Otherwise, we're just kind of range bound. But with these wicks forming like this is oftentimes a sign we might be looking for a move in the opposite direction. That concerns me a bit. Apple's already starting to turn more bearish. We rejected off 227. We failed to break that. We're going to be looking for 224.76. And if that fails us, it could be a bigger drop for the 223s. Apple's looking a little bit more bearish to me. The IWM got a nice push. It's doing a good job at holding up, looking bullish. We'll be looking at a test of this 216 area. If we reject off this 215 area again, though, we could be looking for a retest of 213. Right now, we look a little bit more bullish. We might try to continue to push. We could retest it just under 216. So it's doing a good job at outperforming the market. But just be mindful of that. For Coinbase, we look a little bit more bullish. We might push up for this imbalance fill. So we might get very close to 208 if we hold above 205. Then we'll see if we reject again. But I'll be watching that as resistance. We might push a little bit more. For Amazon, I'm a little bit concerned about this because the 200 EMA, that 180 area is kind of stubborn. If we manage to close above that or hold above that, we could push more. If not, we could be dipping back down to at least 176. So be careful with that. Meta is doing a good job at holding up, but don't forget we have a stubborn resistance. Could we be forming a double top on Meta? Notice how we did reject off 537 again. We got to break the 537s to really start pushing. If we don't break through this, we could be looking for a dip for a double top. We could be forming a giant structure like that, but you need to lose 520 for confirmation. So we're still range bound on Meta. But notice that stocks like Microsoft are already starting to reject. We rejected off at 425, looking at 420 as support. And then Google's the same thing. We're barely holding 166. If this doesn't hold, we will be dipping. So honestly, guys, I'm going to be frank with everyone. The market's hitting some very tough resistance, and I'm starting to see signals that suggest there might be a rejection coming. We might see a little dip. It might be a small dip. We might just dip a couple of points. We might just dip a couple of points. So we'll see. But just to be safe, remember that the market, whether we get another pop or not, I think downside's coming. And if we do get the pop, don't forget that 562 to 564 is where we should be topping on SPY most likely. That's what I've calculated. If not, I mean, if we don't get another pump, the top could be in and we could be getting ready to dip. It's too early for me to make the call that the top is in. So I'm starting to favor that there might be a move to the downside. I think that the market might cool off. So we'll see how things go. Anyways, that's it for my update. I wanted to make this one nice, short, sweet, and simple. I'll talk more about the data and such coming out for tomorrow in my later video. Until then, take care, guys, and peace out.